Okay, so welcome back to IEP Breakdown. Today we're going to be talking about our wrap-up. Now that we have completed sections 1 through 7 of the IEP, we're going to start putting all of the pieces together. So as a reminder, I'd like to make sure that you have the following tools available in front of you before you get started. You will need your IEP Breakdown tool. Let me just flash open a picture, and that looks like this, IEP Breakdown tool. You will also need your IEP Breakdown instructions, which the front page looks like this. You will need action plans for both in and out of the IEP, and that is actually at the end of your IEP Breakdown tool. So let's see if I can scroll down to those quickly so you can see what they look like. Okay, and here we go. At the very end, you have your IEP action plan, and this is where you are listing all of the items that you would like to have addressed at your next IEP meeting. And this is a tool that you take with you to your IEP meeting. And then as you have discussion on each of these issues, you can document if the item was accepted or rejected, when it would be implemented, who would be responsible, and then the date to be completed. The other thing I would add to this tool is if they are denying it, you want to write the very reason verbatim that they are denying you the service. So again, that's the prior written notice. So anything that you want to ask at your IEP meeting, that's where that gets documented. And then as you go through the IEP prep process, we also have the outside of school action plan. And this is very helpful for other issues that come up as you're going through the process. So maybe your child is transitioning to transition age, which is 14 and above. And this might be a reminder to you that it's time to start looking into DDA services, or you want to see if your child is eligible for the pre-ET services, or if there are any assessments that you would like to have a second assessment done outside of the school system or just separate from the school system. So for example, the school system will do a psychological evaluation, but they will not do a more comprehensive neuropsych. So if you wanted a neuropsych, that might be something that you would want to schedule outside of an IEP meeting. And so any of those type issues would be documented on this page. And this is just a reminder for all of the activities that you need to facilitate outside of an IEP meeting, but that continue to support your child through their academic progress. So let's just minimize that. So at this point, we have gone through, a couple more things we need to remember. I need to make sure that you have your last year's IEP and a current IEP. You want to have all of their quarterly progress and your pen and highlighter just to continue to take notes as you advance through the IEP process. So at this point, we have gone through all of the sections. We have reviewed all of the student information. We have made sure that we have identified, let's see, let me get back to the top of this. We want to make sure that we have identified all of the areas affected by disability, which is a very important line here on the first page. We have gone through all of our meeting and identifying information. We have addressed the present levels of performance, the present levels of academic achievement and functional performance, also called the PLAF. And within the PLAF, we have looked at how their functioning impacts their education. And we look at all of the different services. And then this is where we're doing our parental input. And we want to make sure that the parental input actually reflects the parents' wishes, concerns, and is not just written by the school system. And we go through section 3 is all of the special considerations and accommodations, which we have just done. Section 4, we're working on our goals and objectives. We move into all of the different services and making sure that we agree with what services the child is getting, how frequently, in what format they're getting them, small group, individual, who the provider is, how much frequency per week, month, year, all of that. Again, just always remember parental input matters. And then once we have done all of those first 5 sections, that is when we can talk about placement. We can't determine placement until the first 5 sections are completed. And then we move on to authorizations. So once we have gone through that entire IEP process, we should be pretty ready for our child's IEP meeting. And we want to make sure that you are as prepared as possible. So you have reviewed your child's current IEP from beginning to end. You have reviewed the last IEP to make sure that no goals or objectives were dropped off or areas of concern were not overlooked, because when you identify those areas of concern on page 1, you're also identifying the areas that need to have goals. So that is a very important small line on the first page of the IEP. So once you have gone through this entire process, you should be ready to go in and advocate for your child with their IEP. Now, toward the end of your IEP breakdown tool, where those action plans are, you'll take that IEP action plan actually to the IEP meeting with you. And again, that's where you're advocating for the services. And you are using that tool to track what the school agrees to. And when they do not agree, that is when you are requiring prior written notice, and you are documenting in your notes what the IEP team states as the reason for the denial of service. So oftentimes, once a parent gets through the IEP meeting, they're so overwhelmed or tired or exhausted from the stress of that meeting that they don't want to think about it for another year. But an important step that comes after the IEP meeting is within about 5 days, you should receive your prior written notice from the IEP meeting. And it is very important that parents go back once they receive that prior written notice. Go back and make sure that all of those items that you have been working so hard to advocate for, make sure that all of those are being addressed. So they should either be addressed in 1 or 2 areas. If the school agreed to implement your action plan, you should see that change incorporated into the child's IEP when you receive that IEP. If they disagree with what you are requesting, then you should have requested your prior written notice, and that the reason for the denial of the service or the goal or whatever you're asking for, the reason for denial should be documented in the prior written notice. So that IEP action plan tool should be a guide for you as your follow-up to make sure that everything was discussed at the meeting, but is also carried over either into the new IEP where it has been added, or it is included in the prior written notice as a service that the family requested that was denied, but it provides the reason for the denial. And that is how you are able to make sure that the school is staying on top of all of the issues that you're trying to advocate for. So at this point, we have completed the entire IEP process. We have gone from each section of the IEP. We have worked through the entire IEP breakdown tool, and we have now successfully been able to participate as an equal partner in the IEP meeting, and been able to advocate and hold the school accountable to the services that you're requesting by using the important prior written notice, and then using your action plan to make sure that everything that you believe your child would benefit from with their unique needs is documented either by adding it to the IEP or by providing a reason for denial in the prior written notice. So congratulations, you have made your way through your first session of IEP Breakdown. Just remember this process, it takes a lot of time, a lot of commitment, but if you do it well, you will have the best IEP for your child. And always remember that this process should be done before each IEP. So every year, at least 2 weeks before your IEP, start this planning process so that you have time to work your way through and consider all of the different factors you need to evaluate and come up with a new meaningful IEP for your child. So I hope you enjoyed the process. I hope you learned some things, and I wish you the best with your child and their future educational plan.